Dirkse, who is the PDM candidate for the Windhoek Rural Constituency. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me, Tovo.
Sure.
And good evening to everyone watching.
Sure, indeed. So, Roberto, you are probably the youngest, if one of the youngest, if not the youngest candidate so far in this election that is coming in November, at the age of 21. How did that come about?
I think I am the youngest, if I'm not mistaken, and this is just testament that our party is one that is inclusive of youth. If you look at our president, he was the youngest parliamentarian in parliament, and then obviously we had people like Inga Hingari who entered parliament. So our party is one that is very inclusive. Mm-hmm. When I voiced the ambition to represent my community this year, I wasn't met with any resistance. In fact, I enjoyed popular support from my party, from the leaders in my party, because they know that it's time for youth to take up space, and we've been previously excluded and even marginalized from politics and decision making.
Indeed. How does this go? You know, do you go to your parents as a 21-year-old and say, "Mom, Dad, I want to stand for an election"? How does it work?
Actually, I'm a political science student, so I don't think it is very surprising for my mother when I voiced my political ambitions. My grandfather and my mother are both very vocal in terms of politics. My late grandfather, he was a well-known politician. He cared deeply for his community. My mother took up that mantle as well. She also cares very deeply for her community, and she loves her party as well. So when I told her that I would like to represent our party, she was very supportive of that.
Indeed. And how does it happen in PDM? Do you just raise your hand and you say I want to stand, or the process itself of eventually endorsing you as a candidate, how did that pan out?
Well, the process is a very intricate and vigorous one. Obviously the process is open to any member of the party, so anyone is encouraged to apply. After the applications have closed, there is a list of everyone who's applied. So then there is a committee who, especially now, usually there would have been elections, internal elections, where the community elects the representative or the candidate of their choice. But unfortunately, because of COVID regulations, we had to adjust that a bit this year. So what happened was a committee was installed, was put in place, and this committee then interviewed all the candidates and scored the candidates, and also engaged with community members who were present to see how these candidates scored. And according to the score of these candidates, the eventual candidate that the party would endorse was then chosen.
And at your age, and I'm sorry that I keep
no, that's fine.
I'm not patronizing you.
That's okay.
Yeah. So is this a case of a young man trying to learn on the job as a 21-year-old, or what background do you have in the space of servitude, if you like?
Right. Firstly, thank you for saying it's not patronizing. I understand that as a 21-year-old, there are many doubts, many eyebrows are raised, because this is a high-profile position. This is not something to be taken lightly. And of course, if I didn't think that I was up for it, I would never have applied for this in the first place. And if my party didn't think that I was capable of serving my community, I don't think they would have put me in a position to contest these elections. I am, as I said, a political science student, so I have a sound knowledge of how these processes should work. I have a good understanding of what it is I should do as a constituency councillor, how I should serve my community. Of course, I've served my community as an activist. I've served my community as a normal community member. I wasn't able to achieve or make high-profile achievements as a community member, but I believe that an elevated platform such as constituency councillor will enable me to better the livelihood of my community. Because you see, what we're aiming for, and especially here in Windhoek Rural, is the restoration of a dignified livelihood for our community, and that I believe we are able to achieve. Because Windhoek Rural is a constituency that is abundant in potential, and having the correct leadership in place will allow us to make use of that potential to eventually close the urban-rural divide and restore a dignified livelihood to our people, as I've mentioned before. Now, I'm not going to be standing alone if I do win the election. Of course, I have the support of my party. I have veteran politicians behind me who I can always consult with. I have a leadership in the party structure. I will make use of the VDC, the Village Development Council, and the community members as a whole. I will consult with all of them so that every decision that we make as the office will be made in the best interest of our community, and will not be an executive decision that I make on my own. The community will always be aware of why decisions are made, how they're made, how they're funded, why they're implemented, and how they will benefit the community. And it will be made against a backdrop of consulting with the relevant stakeholders.
Indeed. What are the challenges in Windhoek Rural constituency?
Well, Windhoek Rural has an abundance of challenges, just like there is an abundance of potential. One of the most disturbing is probably the water infrastructure. There's a lack of running water. So I know in Groothoop especially, where we barely have water every single day. I know that people in the Oshakati area have struggled with water access, and this is a continuous process. They voiced their concerns every single day. There was a point where they went up to 4 weeks without water. So it's a very difficult situation to be left without water, especially during COVID-19, during a global pandemic when we need water the most. The residents of Windhoek Rural are left without water. Then there's of course the issue of land. Of course we have unemployment, which is I think one of the biggest challenges. Unemployment, especially amongst the youth. We of course have we have inefficient access to health facilities. For example, in Kanabuk, they don't even have a mobile clinic. So elderly residents are forced to travel to Rehoboth just to receive medical attention. We have the economy is not in a great condition because there is a lack of infrastructure. So there's no investment coming into the area, and as a result there's no development in the area. As a result there's low unemployment. So of course we're plagued by poverty and food insecurity.
So as a young person, generally when we are politically conscious and you are growing into this space of politics, how do you arrive at a decision as to which political formation to settle for?
Right. The thing is, you have to make an informed decision when you affiliate yourself with a party, because a lot of people tend to flip-flop when it comes to political parties because they don't know what the party stands for. And once you finally have an idea of what this party wants to do, you find that you don't necessarily agree with it. So you have to find a party that aligns with your ideology, that you believe in their principles, that you believe in the leadership and what they're trying to achieve. And that's exactly what happened with the PDM. I read into the party. I was very enthusiastic about what the party is able to achieve, and I believe that the PDM is able to become a national government in this country because we have leaders in place who are more than competent, who serve on a servant basis. They want to serve their communities, they want to serve their country, and they place the interest of themselves above the interest of the individual. So that's what I looked into, and that's what I was very impressed by, and that's why I decided to rally behind the PDM.
Yeah, indeed. Now, it's ironic because I was writing my column, my daily column in Namibian Sun that is appearing tomorrow in the paper, and I was making an argument that of course, the ECN announced today that 93 independent candidates, and generally the observation on the ground is that most of them are young people.
Yeah.
And I was saying that there are two primary reasons why we are having this surge of independent candidates. Of course, you are not an independent candidate, but I was saying that primarily one thing is one element that is driving young people into politics is unemployment. That they are seeking an opportunity to escape poverty. And secondly, I was of course just talking about the fact that there was a lady last year in Ondangwa, Angelina Emmanuel, who stood as an independent candidate, and it was sort of the first high-profile independent candidacy at the time that really inspired a lot of other young people to stand and say, look, it looks like we can actually do this.
Yes.
Which among those two or any other reason actually drove, sort of inspired you to say, of course, I know you spoke about having seen the situation on the ground and wanting to serve, but if it was between these two, is it a question of a young man, Roberto, wanting to have an income for himself, or just inspired that young people can actually make a difference?
I would say that it is the latter of the two, because remember, as I said, I'm a political science student. I can sit back and finish my degree and apply for a job at the Ministry of International Relations and not have to worry about employment opportunities.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that as a young man, people have to look at, why did this 21-year-old boy decide to get involved? I saw that, like I said, our party is willing to give the youth a chance. Our party decided that, we have young people who are more than capable and who deserve to be in the decision-making structure, who deserve to be involved in decision-making, because we've been left out of it for so long. So the latter of the two is definitely what I rally behind. I remember Miss Angelina's independent candidacy. Of course, that made a lot of waves, and that just proves to you that young people are starting to get involved. Young people realize now that we have been excluded from this for too long.
Yeah.
And people tend to say that young people are the future leaders of tomorrow, but I disagree. I think we're the leaders of now.
Yeah.
I think now is our time, and we're proving it.
Indeed. Now, the one of the dangers that many political observers would talk about when a young person joins politics is, so unlike a graduate, like you would finish your degree and have it secured, and your future is essentially secured. And of course, in your case, you seem to be a guy that is pursuing two routes, finish your degree yet also serving your community as a councillor. But people are saying that when a young person joins parliament, not parliament, but politics, and perhaps secure a position like that, if you are not retained in the future, let's assume you win this election, and then in the future the party, maybe even in the intra-party elections, you don't emerge, or you emerge out of the party, but at the national level or constituency level you didn't get retained. Political observers would always say that it's a bit dangerous for young people, because then where to then? Do you have the skin tough enough to stomach those probabilities?
You see, when I got involved in this party, and especially in the elections, I remember speaking to the president at a meeting, and the president told us, and I was in attendance, he told a lot of the candidates who were contesting, he told us to have tough skin. So you see, what happens is, even if I do not emerge in the future, I realize that the PDM is bigger than I am, bigger than my individual goals and aspirations. So I will obviously still rally behind the party. If there is a better candidate in place, I will get behind that candidate if the leaders feel that he or she is better suited to serve the community. Yeah. I will get behind them. Like I said, this is not about me at the end of the day. Firstly, I'm trying to serve my community, make sure that we all have a better livelihood. And secondly, I am here to represent my party.
Indeed.
So if the party feels that that they have a better candidate in place, or if I don't make it for some other reason, that doesn't really matter to me, because I will still support the party.
Roberto, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That is Roberto Dirkse. He is the PDM candidate for the Windhoek Rural Constituency here in the Commerce region, telling us about his plans, and we wish him and all other candidates, of course, the best of luck as they contest for this very important election next month. Thank you for watching.
Take control. Start listening to my soul. Overlooking back. Where's the point in that? And it feels good, so good. Coming back again. There's enough above. Starting to believe what will be, will be. Overlooking back. Where's the point in that? And it feels good.